Welcome back at 6:41. The Republican National Convention is getting ready for its final night in Wisconsin today. Tonight's final theme is Make America Great Once Again, with former President Donald Trump expected to lay out what his campaign calls his vision for a new golden age of America. Sabrina Franza joins us live from Milwaukee this morning. Good morning to you, Sabrina. Good to see you again. And let's start with one of the big events from last night, which was the J.D. Vance speech.
Good morning, Wisdom. That was the first time that many Americans had been introduced to the Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, now Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance. He talked a lot about what you see in his best-selling book, Hillbilly Elegy. Growing up in Ohio, he mentioned his mom, who was sitting in the audience watching him speak, and her fight against drug addiction, that he says she's been drug-free, she's been addiction-free for 10 years and hopes to celebrate that milestone in the White House. But aside from that, he talked about never forgetting where he comes from, growing up in Ohio and in Kentucky, that Rust Belt area of the country, working Americans that he says have been too often just sent off to war while jobs were sent overseas. And in light of that, he talked about his policy ideas, one of them being making sure that there are greater tariffs on countries like China and on foreign imports so that people are more encouraged to spend their money here in the United States.
All right, and moving forward tonight, Donald Trump is expected to speak after the assassination attempt. And we've heard a lot of conversation about there was a speech that was going to take place before the assassination attempt, and now it may be a little bit different.
Right. After the assassination attempt, the former president reportedly threw out the speech he had originally written in exchange for a now rewritten speech that is a little bit more toned down than the original one was. This to presumably present this idea of unity within the Republican Party and across party lines, as well as, of course, the elected president should hope to be the president for the entire country, because that is what they are. So this new speech will talk hopefully about that, we're anticipating, but then also we'll touch on the Republican Party's new policy points, like we've been mentioning all week, a softer stance on abortion, also talking about the idea of foreign policy. Former President Trump, his isolationist policy of protecting the United States from threats coming from Europe. He might speak a little bit to his policy in Iran, and then also his reinforcement of help and aid to Israel to re-energize his base there as a staunch supporter of Israel in their war against Hamas.
All right, Sabrina, thank you very much. Tremendous job covering the convention for us. We appreciate your time this morning. Take care. All right, the Republican National Convention wraps up tonight with former President Donald Trump officially accepting the Republican nomination. Keep it locked to WUSA 9 tonight at 11 and again tomorrow morning on Get Up DC. You can also get all the latest on WUSA9.com and streaming on WUSA 9 Plus.